Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. Happy Friday. My name is Elle. I am come here today to read some Law of One material and then comment on it and just speak about some of the topics that the quotes make me think about. So today I'm going to be reading a quote from Quo, Q-U-O. This transcript was channeled on 2009, September 22nd. And yeah, the topics generally speaking are going to be about the perfection of the moment, unity, the intellect versus the heart, and the nature of the creator being unconditional love. Okay, so let's begin. The quote begins from Quo with, "There is simplicity to the spiritual walk that baffles the intellectual mind. All that occurs is that which comes before the self in order that the self may practice responding with vibrations as close as humanly possible to the vibration of the one infinite creator, which is unconditional love. Consequently, the response of one that is vibrating at his highest and best shall always be love." Quo, The Law of One, 2009, September 22nd, end of quote. So that was a very quick one, not too complicated, but it has a few things that, I've spoke about quite a few times before. It's just that these things are just generally important. So what I would first go over is, they say there is a simplicity to the spiritual walk that baffles the intellectual mind. So what baffles the intellectual mind? Well, the intellectual mind likes to count. It is finite. It is not of the infinite. I mean, everything is of the infinite, but the brain basically thinks in finite terms. So, 1 + 1 = 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very linearly. It doesn't quite understand the concept of 1 + 1 = 1. You get that? 1 + 1 = 1. It's unity. So no matter what, within unity, let's take infinity, for example. I picture it as the universe, from the center of the universe, expanding out infinitely. As it's expanding out infinitely, you can count that number. That number is going to get infinitely bigger. But the whole idea is that with infinity is, what does they say? Ross says there is no referent or meaning in infinity because it's just an absurdly large number which keeps growing. There's nothing to reference for it. So how do you define infinite, or how do you define infinity? You define it as unity, because no matter how big it gets, it's always one thing. It's still always the creator. Okay, so with that, that's sort of the idea of unity. That's sort of the idea of oneness. Now, you just basically have to extrapolate out from there, in which my understanding is that each of us is sort of a holographic projection of the one creator. And with that, that means there is perfection in every moment. No matter what happens, per se, in the physical, that which comes before the self, which they say here, is in order that the self may practice responding with vibrations as close as humanly possible to the vibration of the one infinite creator, which is unconditional love. So unconditional love is always there. It's always in the moment. It is our ultimate highest desire, and where we will be wanting to eventually work on in our spiritual path is taking everything that comes before us as a lesson of love. Now, the intellect doesn't necessarily like this, because the intellect is very concentrated with the bottom 3 chakras, which are to do with sort of everyday life, survival, eating, relationships with yourself, with others, community, things of this nature. It's not necessarily makes sense to the brain and to the intellect to why you may want to love somebody, or why you may want to love somebody who's seemingly separate from you, but in reality they truly are you as well. It's the idea of oneness is there is no separation, but the intellect can't see anything sort of but separation, just because that's what it does. The whole idea is that the intellect and the brain separates things in your mind so you can make sense of them. It's not a bad thing, it's just what it was made to do. It separates things in order so that it may understand them, put them into little boxes in your brain, in which case you may you may live better, you may survive, you may, as we work through the chakras, first one is about survival. So if you can't see that a truck coming towards you down the road is bad and you should move out of the way because you see it as unity and oneness, well, you could see how you may want to balance your intellect with your heart, in which case it's not that one is right over the other, it's that both need to be in operation together, which I've spoke about many times. So I'm sure you get that, but the intellect still, no matter what, it just never fully understands. So I know I've said before, you can't necessarily trust your thoughts. I mean that with a grain of salt. You want to trust your intuition per se, but a lot of the thoughts and the voices that you may hear in your head, my understanding is like that might not even be voices from you. That may be a voice from an old parent, an old friend, an old family member who is criticizing you, and instead of you sort of understanding where that voice comes from, you have adopted it as your own, and you repeat it to yourself as if you're judging yourself through others. It's just this weird thing that we do. I'm sure as I'm explaining it, you understand that you've done that to yourself before. So this is why I'm thinking I always suggest cleaning up the inner dialogue and being kind to yourself, because otherwise the intellect's running the show, trying to basically, talk bad things. It sees the negativity in the world and it points it out to you, and those things are very much true. But the unity and the truth of the situation is there's perfection in the moment, there's perfection in the Creator. All is here for us to experience our lessons and learning lessons of love, and opening ourselves to unconditional love. This is the third density, the density of choice. We either choose to serve the others or choose to serve the self exclusively. And the next step up from that is the heart, which is the center chakra. There's the 7 chakras. It's the 4th one. It's the middle one. So that's why they say here, one that is vibrating at its highest and best shall always be love. Because the center of your being, the center of the Creator, the center of everything is unconditional love. And so what I find in my life is that my personality and my sort of smaller self is always stepping in the way, and that would be also my intellect. It's sort of stepping in the way from me realizing the perfection of the moment and seeing the love in this moment. If I haven't been meditating, if I haven't been pondering spiritual things, I haven't been reminding myself of nature, of love, of good things, it's so easy to get overwhelmed with the intellect and all the thoughts and everything. So that's why I would add on, don't be too hard on yourself. Of course, one who's vibrating at their highest and best shall always be love, but who is honestly vibrating at their highest and best at all times? I would think that you attempt to do that, you're probably not actually doing it, and you're probably suppressing things. So, do your best to vibrate at your highest and best, but realize it's an ideal, and we, strive towards an ideal, but we don't ever compare ourselves to it in terms of perfection. We want to be kind to ourselves, allow the process to take hold slowly, and we slowly make our way towards the ideal from, by accepting and loving ourselves and letting the small self step out of the way, letting things fall away that are not needed, and focusing on things that are important, which are the things of infinity, which is love, and just love. I mean, honestly, I know that's a lame word in a sense, but you would understand love with humans and how we talk and we love with each other. And in life, you have those moments where if you think back on times and you think back on people, you generally are going to think about the love between you and the other. It's not necessarily the physical things that you did with people. It's about the feeling that you had in experiencing their essence. And to me, that is love. That's infinite. Is what our lessons here are geared towards, is lessons in infinity, because we incarnate in the finite, in order to not understand the perfection of the moment, so that we can sort of not understand the perfection of the moment and have the faith that maybe there is perfection in the moment. So I guess with that, you would understand that I don't know this for sure. I mean, I may understand it, sometimes have moments of epiphany through meditation or just in the moment. I may have this perfect realization, but for me to sit here and tell you this is perfect, it's sort of up to you. You have to take it on faith. Obviously, it's up to your own personal understandings and biases as to whether you would take that on faith, or whether, I guess, what I'm saying makes sense to you in terms of unity and the perfection of the moment. All right, and then I just wanted to add on a raw quote. So we're in third density going to fourth. Similarly, this is sort of related to the chakras. So we are trying to go from our bottom three chakras and activating our fourth chakra. So how would we, at least, I know I don't want to talk about all of them, but, unblock the third one right before the fourth. So to unblock the yellow chakra, to go to the green heart chakra, the one of unconditional love. Ross states to unblock the yellow ray, one must love all, which are in relation to the self. So you understand that the nature of this third density is we just need to love people. And as we, as they say in the raw material with the poker hands, as we lay our hands down and in the melting influence of love, and we accept and everyone's hands, everyone's cards, we just lay them down on the table and we say, you know what, no matter what hand you've been dealt, I love you. That's how we win this game. That's how we unblock the third chakra. That's how we make it to the heart of unconditional love. This is the true nature and essence of the Creator. This is the true essence of your being. This is where we come from. This is who we are, is love. So I hope that you take that thought with you into the weekend, and I think that's good for me today. If any of this spoke to you, you can get this material for free on my website, theoneinfinitecreator.com, where I have links to all the other websites like LL Research, who gives you this material for free. We always appreciate LL Research. Love those guys. Thank you guys so much. If you like this, please like, share, subscribe. And I think I just hit 500 subscribers, so thank you so much. I will keep up the podcast as long as you guys are all appreciating it. So love you guys. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.